Well, welcome and thank you for attending the first Huntington Beach Energy Efficient Workshop presented by the Orange County Power Authority. I'm proud to serve on the board of directors of the Orange County Power Authority. I'm pleased to represent Forward-Thinking Community Choice Energy Program, where we are thinking proactively about programs for our residents and businesses. Community Choice Energy gives our businesses and residents a choice of who they buy energy from. Today, we're going to be talking about how funding from the California Public Utilities Commission can be used and collected from the ratepayers. Tonight we'll hear about 7 distinct programs from CPUSC that are submitted for consideration. I want to hear your candid feedback about the program and where you'd like to see this implemented here in Huntington Beach. We're also joined this afternoon by City Councilman Natalie Mosier and City Councilman Barbara Del Glaze, actually Mayor Pro Tem Barbara Del Glaze. And with that, I'll turn it over to Antonia Castro-Graham. She's the Chief Operating Officer for the Orange County Power Authority and former Assistant to the City Manager of Huntington Beach and former Assistant City Manager for the City of Fullerton. Quite a resume. And a professor at Cal State Fullerton.
Thank you, Councilmember Posey. That was a very nice introduction. Welcome. So today we're going to be talking about some energy efficiency programs. Again, I'm Antonia Graham. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Orange County Power Authority. So today what we're going to do is we're going to have a brief introduction to what the Orange County Power Authority is. We're going to talk about some goals of the workshop. The main goal is really to get your feedback to find out if these are the types of programs that you want in your community. You're going to hear about how this is funded. It's not coming from Orange County Power Authority revenues. It is coming from you. It's something that you've been paying for a very long time on your investor-owned utility or Southern California Edison bill. We're going to talk about, expectation setting. We want to hear your candid feedback. We want to know if this is a program that would interest you as a business owner or as a resident, or even we're going to talk about one of my favorite programs, some workforce development training. So you as a student might be interested in being retrained and learning some new skills. So we're going to go through 7 programs tonight, and after each program, Julie Castro, who is on Zoom from the Energy Coalition, she's a program manager, and I'm remiss to not introduce also Laurel Rothschild. She's here also from the Energy Coalition. She's a vice president, and she's been helping us craft these programs. You're going to hear about 7 programs, and after each program, we're going to ask for your feedback. And we really want to hear, would this work? Are you interested in it? We've held multiple other workshops now in other cities, and we've really heard things that are helping us rethink how we are crafting these programs to submit to the California Public Utilities Commission. So the Orange County Power Authority was really something that, or community choice energy was really started to be explored really by the leader in this was Huntington Beach back in 2017. At that time, it wasn't quite ready, and so the city of Irvine took the lead, and the city of Irvine launched the Orange County Power Authority with the addition of the city of Fullerton and formed a joint powers authority in November of 2020. It was then joined by the city of Huntington Beach and the city of Buena Park in December of 2020. We filed an implementation plan with the California Public Utilities, and that was approved just a few months ago. It's on our website, www.ocpower.org. A good thing about community choice energy is not only do you have choice, whereas before your choices were candle power, as one of our board members likes to say, or Southern California Edison. You'll now have the choice if you want to stay with Southern California Edison, if you want to power your own home with solar and storage, if you want to join the Orange County Power Authority, or if you want to use candle power at your home. And it really helps us accelerate to getting to 100% renewable faster. The state of California has something known as the Renewable Portfolio Standard. And the Renewable Portfolio Standard is every year it increases to eventually get us to 100% renewable energy. And so a CCA can offer us the ability to get there faster. You as a resident or a business owner can choose if you want to have 100% renewable, or you can just have the standard portfolio. So what we offer is competitive rates, local control, and customized local programs. You're going to hear about how on your bill at Southern California Edison, you are charged a public purpose fee, and it goes into a pot at the California Public Utilities Commission. Almost $1 billion is collected. And that is then doled out to energy efficiency programs to load-serving entities. And a load-serving entity is Southern California Edison and community choice aggregators, of which there are 23 in the state. Almost 10 million people are served by a CCA. And so what we want to do is offer programs that are customized to our community. Sometimes what's offered by the investor-owned utilities is sort of a one-size-fits-all, and that doesn't work in communities, in every single community. So that's why it's very important to us to hear your feedback. And with that, I'll introduce Laurel Rothschild to explain the Southern California Edison bill to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laurel Rothschild. I'm Vice President of Energy Programs at an organization called the Energy Coalition. The Energy Coalition, we're a nonprofit organization headquartered in Irvine. I've personally been there for over 15 years working alongside local governments like Huntington Beach to really design and implement programs that make sense for the communities, just as Tony was mentioning earlier. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the Edison bill, but I'll maybe highlight a couple important points here. So what you see here is a visual of your Edison bill. Now, please be aware when you, hopefully, you become an OCPA customer, but again, either way, OCPA Edison, you will still receive an Edison bill. And if you look at your Edison bill, what you'll see is a line item, if you ever really want to dig into it, and it's called public purpose programs. So that line item on your Edison bill feeds into this pot of money that Tony referenced, which is over about $1 billion a year at the state level. And it funds a number of programs across the state, and a number of them are for energy efficiency programs. And as Tony mentioned, OCPA is authorized to apply for this funding now once they start serving customers. So it's a huge opportunity for OCPA to get out in front and offer these amazing programs to these communities, which is available to them immediately. They don't have to wait and it comes out of their own revenues as they hope to later. So if you jump into the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about what's eligible under this funding. I mentioned energy efficiency when I talked about public purpose program charge. So when I say energy efficiency, this funding is specifically targeted for energy efficiency, which that concept is essentially doing the same amount of work but using less energy for it. So many times that's done through technology, it can be done through behaviors and conservation, but a lot of times you can say the greenest energy is the energy you actually don't use. And that's what really energy efficiency is all about. So on the left side of this slide here, you can see what is eligible under this funding. And it is focused on electricity. So electricity energy efficiency, again, since OCPA is supplying electricity, it's electricity programs. And it can be electrification measures, behavior-based programs that reduce your consumption, enhancement of an existing program that might already be out there. Many of you may be aware of some energy efficiency programs, like if you go and buy a new a pool pump for your pool in the backyard and that could have a rebate associated with it. That's where this funding is used for. Or if you have a free audit of your small business, comes from that same pot of funding. And then I want to just touch a little bit about what's ineligible through this funding, because many of you, when you hear about energy programs, you might get excited and think, I want a rebate for a new electric vehicle, maybe even an electric bike, or maybe solar on my home. Unfortunately, those types of activities are not eligible under this pot of funds, but could be eligible for future programs designed under OCPA in future years. Also, natural gas efficiency is not eligible, and I want to comment on this last bullet here, low-income-based programs. You can definitely design a program that serves low-income customers, but there are existing programs out there designed around serving low-income customers, and so this could just complement those that already exist. So I just want to touch a little bit about the customer energy efficiency program goals that have been discussed with OCPA, and were really what we focused on when coming up with these 7 program ideas. And really the top of the list right up in front was that really wanted to ensure that these programs help to lower customer bills, save you energy that will save on your electricity bill, spur local economic development, offer specialized programs designed for member communities. Tony emphasized this right up front. And then lastly, I just want to comment, this last one, meet California Public Utility Commission requirements. What does that mean? Well, in designing these programs, we'll be submitting an application, or OCPA will be submitting a formal application up to the Public Utilities Commission, and there are certain requirements that these programs need to meet to actually be approved. So we are working alongside OCPA to ensure that we meet those requirements, and we may touch on a few of those today, but we will have to meet those to be approved for funding. I'm going to talk for a few minutes a little bit about these member communities of OCPA. Again, the member communities are Buena Park, Irvine, Fullerton, and of course, Huntington Beach. So OCPA has access to actually all the energy data of the customers in OCPA communities. And what has been done is a detailed analysis about what types of customers there are and where this energy is being used, how many accounts there are, to get a sense of what programs will really benefit these communities. And so what I want to do is draw your attention to the pie chart on the left. And on the left you see that these are the breakdown of customer accounts in OCPA communities. And what you can see here is that 86%, or nearly 86% of accounts, OCPA potential customer accounts, are residents of these OCPA communities. But if you look on the pie chart on the right, I want to highlight that even though they make up 86% of these total accounts, only 29% of electricity sales are coming from these residential customers. So where is this electricity being used? It's actually coming, a majority of it is coming from medium and large commercial and industrial customers. So these larger commercial businesses within these communities and those industrial customers use 62% of electricity sales. And they actually only make up less than 3% of the accounts. So there's a major opportunity to do some targeting, potentially, of these accounts and make a huge impact. I want to talk about what might be a new concept for many of you listening in. There's something called peak demand. And why I want to talk a little bit about peak demand is because it's actually very important that as OCPA, they have a commitment to provide reliable electricity to their customers. So that means that they have to procure enough electricity to supply to all their customers at every time of the year, okay? And if you think about it, there are times of the year you use significantly more energy than other times of the year. And especially you have to think at times when the sun goes down and you don't have access to renewable, that the hours of actually 4 to 9 p.m. have the largest strain on the grid because there's a big spike in demand, but a loss of a lot of generation through from some renewables. So there is a huge opportunity if you are actually to reduce the amount of energy used between 4 and 9 p.m. That OCPA doesn't need to procure as much energy to handle those times of days, and that actually saves money for all customers since they need to generate less energy to supply to their customers. So if you target those customers that actually use higher peak demand, you could have a bigger impact that supports all OCPA customers. And so I want to highlight here, again, looking at the medium commercial and industrial and the large commercial and industrial, you will see those bars much higher than some of the other categories here. The last one on the OCPA community analysis that I wanted to touch on today briefly is the average energy use per customer. And again, what you're going to see here, which is not going to be a surprise, is the large commercial and industrial is going to be the highest use per account. What might be surprising to you is how significantly greater it is based on in comparison to other customer types. So you see here, large commercial and industrial uses significantly more energy per account, and the next one being medium commercial and industrial, and then also agricultural customers that are much lower. So if you think about heavier touch initiatives working alongside those customers, you can have a bigger impact. But you also don't want to forget, again, about all of those other customers. And so you can have lighter touch initiatives, perhaps, meeting the needs of the other customers of OCPA that still make a significant impact. So with that, I believe, next slide, I'm really pleased to introduce Julie Castro from the Energy Coalition, who's going to walk through the 7 program ideas we keep mentioning. Julie?
Yes, thank you so much for that introduction, Laurel. I'm Julie Castro. I've been with the Energy Coalition for 5 years, and of all of those years, I've worked with communities throughout Orange County on energy efficiency projects. So I'm very excited to be here today to talk about community-driven energy efficient programs. And with that, I will quickly sum up some of the takeaways from Laurel's data that she just presented. Our first, from reviewing all of that, was that there's a lot of diverse customers throughout the OCPA territory. There's homeowners, there's renters, there's businesses from small to large, and there's emerging workforce, as well as the cities, the municipalities that are the member agencies of OCPA themselves. So with this diverse group of customers, we knew that we had to come up with a series of programs that would address each unique need. So that's how we came up with the framework of 7 programs. We have 3 programs that serve businesses and industry, 2 programs that serve residential customers, 1 program that's focused on worker match and training, and 1 program that serves public agencies themselves. So before I jump in, I'm just going to let everyone know that I'm going to go through all 7 programs now, and after each one, I will pause, and this is where we get to have some exciting discussion about feedback and questions on the program concepts that we've come to present today. So the first program concept is business energy analysis and targeted energy efficiency rebates. So what this program is doing is casting a wide net and working with small and medium businesses to empower them to lower their utility bills by providing tailored energy saving tips. And in addition, once we get some more feedback from these businesses themselves, we would roll out rebates for energy efficient appliances based on the need and the interest that we're seeing in the field. And why are we serving this customer sector with this type of program? The goal here is to reach as many customers as possible with high-level support, and then from there, with the rebates, provide deeper savings opportunities for those that are interested and those that could benefit. And who are we serving with this program? Again, it's going to be small and medium business customers. So with that, I will pause and see if there's any initial feedback or questions about this program.
So for anyone that's online that might have feedback, if you just want to raise your hand and we'll call on you. Yes, I see Ayn Creation has her hand raised. Go ahead, Ayn.
Hello, thank you so much. This looks like a wonderful program, and we are pleased to hear about it. This is Ayn Creation with Climate Action Campaign. I'm curious, based on the last graphic that we saw that showed consumption being highest for larger businesses, why you are targeting the small and the medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have another program, and it's a great transition to our next slide. We do have another program that does focus on large businesses and industry. So we want to spread the opportunity across all communities and stakeholders and businesses throughout OCPA's territory. So we'll have programs that address specific needs, but we do have one next that addresses the large and businesses and industrial customers.
And I will add that these are not in any sort of prioritized order. They're just, so this one is not more important than the next one or so on. This is just our menu of programs right now.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, Kathleen, hold on. Let me get you the microphone.
So this is probably for Julie. I couldn't quite see the bottom row on the bar graph, but I was curious with respect to the peak demand, is there a business sector that is, contributing disproportionately to that peak demand? I mean, can we knock off the top by going at certain business sectors, or is it really an across-the-board issue for all sizes of residential and commercial?
I can answer that, Julie, if you'd like.
Sure.
So this is Laurel. I was just going to comment that, great suggestion or comment. So this is just a high-level view, and then once we're getting into the actual details of further program design and actually even rolling programs out, there would be definitely additional analysis for that targeting, as you're mentioning. But you may be even thinking, well, if we know what kind of customer type is really driving this, perhaps designing a program directly around them. Is that, yeah, I'm seeing a head nod, and absolutely agree, and that's perhaps something we could do with some additional analysis. So we can take that back.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other hands, we'll move on to the next program.
Okay, thank you, Tony. All right, so I think gets to your question here. So this next program concept is hands-on energy project support for customers that are large energy users. So the idea behind this program is to provide in-depth, holistic, long-term, customized energy efficiency support to large businesses and industries to maximize energy savings. And the reason why we're doing this, as so many of you have keyed in on in your questions, is that these high-consuming facilities are driving up power costs for OCPA. So in helping them reduce those demand loads, we can reduce the overall power costs for OCPA, which benefits all OCPA customers. And who is this serving? Again, we're serving large commercial and industrial customers. So I'll pause here for questions and feedback.
And Julie, I will add, and even though we're in our infancy and we don't plan to launch service to commercial accounts until April, May of 2022, that's what will go online first, commercial, industrial, and municipal accounts. I have spoken to a great many of large businesses that run their operations nearly 24 hours a day. And, from working in Huntington Beach nearly 6 years, I can tell you a number of them have reached out that are interested in finding ways to lower their electricity bills, because for some of them, they're 24-hour operations, manufacturing, food manufacturing, plastics manufacturing. Alcon in Irvine is a big one that's 24 hours. So there is some interest in this, and by targeting those large commercial and industrial users, we end up helping the whole totality of accounts. So with that, I'll see if there's any raised hands. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next program.
Okay, thank you. All right, this next program is the last business program. So this concept is Green Small Business Certification Support. And this helps small businesses obtain the Green Business Certification, either through providing rebates or loans or grants for those small businesses to go through this process and install energy efficient technologies that help them comply with the certification program. So why are we doing this program is in our research, we've found that there's very few resources available for specifically small businesses to conduct energy efficiency retrofits. So we want to fill that gap here. Who is this program serving? It's serving small businesses, and we could focus on underrepresented businesses here. And by focus, I mean we could provide additional services to those small businesses as well as all small businesses, regardless of their underrepresented status. So we'll pause and see if there's any questions on this program.
Thanks, Julie. This is one of my favorites because 3 of our cities have or had a sustainable business certification program that's aligned with the California Green Business Network. So Huntington Beach, Irvine, and Fullerton have these programs, and they have been very successful in helping businesses reduce operational costs. It looks at water conservation, energy efficiency, waste reduction, and pollution prevention. One thing that we have had discussions with with the executive director of the California Green Business Network. And I will also note that each city that participates receives money from the California Air Resources Board through CAGBN, the California Green Business Network, to fund these programs in each city and to provide small mini grants to businesses that partake that maybe want to swap out something. So in our discussions with the executive director of California Green Business Network, she pointed out that a lot of times they're able to focus on water conservation or waste reduction, but there's very few and far between of energy reduction resources. And so this would help businesses, maybe a small business that is a corner market, to swap out their refrigeration unit so it's more energy efficient. There's lots of different things, and I think this is one program where we can be very creative and customized to businesses. And for those businesses that might be in underrepresented areas or environmental justice communities that are identified on the California EnviroScreen map, there may be even more resources available to those businesses. And with that, I'll see if there's any comments. Oh, yes, thank you, Kathleen.
So this is just an idea, but having gone through the Green Business Certification in Huntington Beach, I was wondering, though I do not do anything related to restaurants or that would require refrigeration, it occurs to me it would be interesting to work with the Green Business Certification to give a business extra points for swapping out refrigeration, because they're not just reducing energy, they're also reducing those extremely strong greenhouse gases that are, the long-term and the heavy contributors, and they can reduce our greenhouse gas emissions quickly. So I was wondering, that might be something I know it's a long-term thing and it's a statewide program, but to give those businesses extra points on the Green Biz certification for doing that particular swap out. And so that was just a thought, and it could also help us with our peak loads.
Yes, Kathleen, thank you. And, it got me thinking, Huntington Beach is, the way the program was originally designed, I'm not sure how it's run right now, is there were 3 different tiers. There was a platinum, a gold, and a silver. And so you could get more points if you swapped out that refrigeration unit, because you'd also be checking off pollution prevention because you're reducing chemicals in the workplace. So that is an excellent idea. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I'll add it's been the popular idea, and we'll certainly have to look at how we can make sure it gets incorporated into the program one way or another.
We have a board member, council member, Mike Posey has a question.
Thanks, Tony. In these programs, part of what we do on the city council is we try to attract business and bring business to our cities. What tools are available and the business certification support or other programs that we can use to incentivize businesses to think about locating in our cities or the cities that are served by the JPA?
That's a great question. And, as many cities rely on sales tax, and so you want to make sure that you have a conducive business environment for businesses. And so what I would say that is a tool for attracting and retaining businesses in your community is that you are helping them to reduce their operational costs. If they reduce their operational costs, they can expand. I know that we have both visited Primal Elements, the soap and candle manufacturer. They went through this program. They reduced their costs. Their sales actually increased because they're on Good Morning America. They were on the Home Shopping Network. And when people, eco-conscious consumers, saw that they were a certified sustainable business, there's a cool surfboard logo, they saw their sales increase. And they are on the city's website attesting to that. So that's a way to keep businesses here. A way to attract businesses, and I know, Huntington Beach is a leader and was the implementer of the Orange County Recycling Market Development Zone, and I would say that businesses want to come to places where they know that there are incentives. Cities have so long lost so many incentive tools with the loss of redevelopment that anything that you can attract to business really helps. And California Green Business Network has so many statistics on the power of the eco-conscious consumer, that they want to shop and go places that have been, certified as sustainable. So that's a long-winded answer for yes, it would help attract and retain businesses. Thank you. I do see one hand raised. Oh, she lowered her hand. Okay, we'll move on to the next program, Julie. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're moving into our 2 residential programs.
Oh, sorry, Julie,
now.
she raised her hand again. Oh, no worries, sorry. Bonnie Benton will take your question. You can speak. You can go ahead and, you are.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Bonnie.
Yes. The three programs that you have outlined so far in your presentation seem to be focused on benefiting businesses and primarily through state participation with their getting green business certification. Is that not already available to them through Southern California Edison or whatever energy company that they're using?
No, so there are,
Why is that?
so that's a good question. Why is that? Because there's $1 billion in an energy efficiency fund at the California Public Utilities Commission that's collected every year. Currently, there are no, the first two programs that we've talked about, Edison does offer some rebates and incentives, but largely they've gone away. In fact, today we were looking at a website for the Bay REN, the Regional Energy Network, and I couldn't believe how many great incentives and rebates there were for businesses that are not offered here. And this is the whole point, and why our board thinks this is so important, is to launch these programs, is because you will be able to give businesses the opportunity to save money that they don't have right now. So while this green small business certification support is currently active in 3 of our cities, there's no matching incentives from the investor-owned utilities. And so we're going to start talking about residential programs, but there's very limited incentives available to businesses from the investor-owned utilities.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So with that, we can move into the 2 residential programs. The first concept here is residential energy analysis and targeted energy efficiency rebates. So this program is going to sound pretty similar to the first business program we reviewed. It's the same, but for residential customers. So the idea here is, again, to cast a wide net and to empower residents to lower their energy bills by providing them with customized energy-saving tips, and in addition, providing rebates for energy-efficient equipment once we identify what the need is. If it's for lighting or if it's refrigeration, we would then add in those rebate opportunities. So why are we looking at this program? The reason is that residential is OCPA's largest customer group by number of accounts, and it's important to provide some brand recognition and awareness and some resources for these customers and help them save energy and introduce some retrofits into their households as well. So who is this program serving? It's going to serve homeowners and renters. And I will pause and see if there's any questions on this first residential program.
I see one hand raised. Oh, and it was unraised. Okay. Anyone in person?
I have a question, Tony.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Tony, I have a question on homeowners and renters. We know that, when homeowners own the building, they can apply for energy efficiency improvements to their home, but renters just pay the electric bill. How would this apply to renters if they don't own the building that they're renting, and what energy efficiencies programs could they take advantage of to earn rebates?
Right. So this one is going to be largely behavior-based changes in terms of the insights that we'll provide. So, for example, we just through data can identify that a customer might be using a lot of energy during peak hours. And we could make a recommendation to change that consumption pattern to a different time of day so that they can save on their bill and also reduce OCPA's peak demand and power costs. So those are tips and feedback that can apply to renters. The next program I'm about to discuss does go into the renter landlord disconnect, and we have one strategy to try to help us address the issue that you're talking about, where they don't own the appliances.
And Julie, I'll just add, You're not this has also been a topic that's been raised at, I think, each and every workshop. So we're definitely thinking through how to address it as well in these programs. So I'm really glad you raised it. Thank you.
I do see one hand raised online. Sandra Smallshaw, go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, hi. I'm a resident of Huntington Beach. I have been since 1989. I'm very interested in a renewable energy mix that's going to be offered when the OCP rolls out. And I think that might be a little bit different than what you're talking about. I'm very interested in 100% renewable and wondering how you plan to introduce that, when you plan to introduce that, if it's going to be upon the initial rollout of OCPA, of CCA, and if it's going to be, I'd like the option of Huntington Beach offering more than the minimum renewables that are required by law. So could you comment on that?
Yes, I do want to keep our questions, because we are running out of time, focused on the energy efficiency programs. But Sandra, what I'll say, and I'm happy to talk more with you about this. In terms of renewables, our board will begin talking about rates and portfolio mix towards the end of the year, because residential service won't launch till October of 2022. As for Huntington Beach, opting into 100% renewable, that would be at the council direction. But each of you as OCPA members, should you decide to be an OCPA, will have the ability to have a 100% renewable mix. And the more people that choose 100% renewable, the more renewables are on the grid. But again, it's up to our board and up to the Huntington Beach City Council to decide what mix they want to have. But Sandra, I'm happy to talk to you about this more offline. If you want, you can email me at antonia@ocpower.org, or and with your phone number, and I'm happy to call you.
All right, and so the decision to include renewable is up to the city council to include that upon initial rollout, right?
Right, so exactly. So if the city decided that they wanted to default all their customers in, a member city could have their council determine that. But ultimately, it's up to each city's council.
All right, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the program that I was alluding to. We certainly recognize that the multifamily tenant versus landlord situation is very tricky. So the concept here is multifamily tenant-focused improvements. And the idea is to also provide those multifamily residents with energy insights about their specific consumption and recommend how they could reduce their utility bills. In addition, this program would provide rebates based on the need that we're seeing, and potentially provide a full service retrofit. So, for example, a contractor coming in and replacing all of the lights with you just signing up for the program. And the cost could be covered up to 100%. So this program was designed exactly with the issue that I didn't catch the gentleman's name, but the question that you just raised. The owner and the tenant have different roles in a multifamily situation. One person is paying for the utility bill, one person owns the equipment and the four walls, and one person is doing all the behaviors that could cause the utility bill to go up and down. So we really want to focus on this and provide opportunities for energy efficiency here. A solution that we've been looking into is providing incentives, split incentives to the landlord and to the tenant, so that it can address that split disconnect between who has responsibility over the equipment and the behaviors and the bill. So who is participating in this program? It would be renters in multifamily housing, and we would target underrepresented neighborhoods. And again, this would just be an additional incentive that those neighborhoods would receive on top of the incentives and support that renters throughout the OCPA territory would receive. So I'll pause there and see if there's any questions.
I see an audience member who has a question.
Hello, thank you. How are you going to execute this? Is this going to be with certified installers? Have you decided that? That's basically my question.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into that detail yet about how this program would actually function. We're still at the concept stage, but looking at other programs that are similar, we would certainly want to make sure that the contractors that would be leveraged to do this work would have all of the proper and required certifications to execute this.
We do have one online comment. Bonnie, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I had a question on the last go around, but I'll
go ahead.
That's okay. I have another question. Okay. This seems to incentivize the city to process building requests for more high-density development, in the sense that the whole building is a gang bill, right? There's not separate owner or separate resident bills targeted. They only get one bill for the entire building.
I don't know if that's not really the intention, and that's really not anything that we thought about. We really thought about existing customer base, existing multifamily dwelling. We're solely focused here on reducing energy usage. And so the concept of high density housing didn't come up in our conversations.
Well, it sure comes up in Huntington Beach a lot.
Well, I appreciate your comment, Bonnie, and thank you.
Yeah. Just one quick question about the previous question and or the previous presentation, and that was how exactly is somebody's peak hours determined?
Those are determined. Oh, sorry, Tony.
Go ahead, Julie. Sorry.
Oh.
We're also excited to talk about this.
I know, yeah. These are the questions that we love. Those are determined really based on the market need and the market demand. So peak hours are when a customer has used the most energy throughout the whole year. So if you have every single appliance on in your household at one point throughout the year, that's your peak demand.
Well, yes, I understand that, and I'm sure that you are aware Southern California Edison is moving to that kind of a program themselves for residential users.
Yes, so Bonnie, what I'll say is that between 4 and 9 is when the grid is the most stressed, and you can check out the CAISO. The CAISO has an app and a website. You can see how many megawatts are available, how many are being used, and so it's really the CAISO that determines the peak, but you're right, everyone else has their own peak within their home, and Edison is moving customers to a time of use, so everyone probably would have received a notice from Southern California Edison in the last few weeks. I will go back, Bonnie, to your question about the high density and new development. The state of California and the California Energy Commission passed something called Title 24. I live in a brand new construction in South County, and I would say that new construction is more energy efficient because of Title 24, and so that wouldn't even come to play. We're looking at more of an older building stock because old buildings are not energy efficient. I mean, I can tell you, from working in old cities, how much it costs to retrofit buildings, but the energy savings, is a great payoff. And so all new construction is more energy efficient. more water efficient because of Title 24. So thank you for your comments, Bonnie.
Okay, Tony, if there are no more questions in the room, I think we'll move on to the next program, just looking at time here. The next program concept is Worker Match and Training Program, and the idea here is to work with community colleges, students, local businesses to identify and develop gaps, and to develop energy efficiency related curriculum in addition to internships or apprenticeships with local businesses, and ultimately job placement with local businesses. So we would also we've gotten some feedback from previous workshops that we should include K through 12, and that's something that we're looking into now. So you could see a funnel of the education going from K through 12 to ultimately job placement in energy efficiency related trade or industry. So why are we focusing on this program? It's really to make sure that we can see the energy efficiency industry grow in Orange County and address any gaps in skills and work with our local education system to address that gap and to also provide those skill sets to the local businesses that are in pursuit of these skills. So who is going to be supported by this program? It's the emerging green collar workforce, local businesses, and community colleges. And I'll pause there and see if there's any questions or feedback on this program.
Thank you, Julie. This is also another one of my favorite programs that we're proposing. And I can say that, we have talked to Golden West College, Irvine Valley College, Saddleback, the North Orange County Community College District, and there's definite interest from community colleges to either create new curriculum or to add on to existing certificate programs with the goal of really, teaching people new skills, and so they can in the immediate term get a certificate, but eventually maybe get credits to transfer to a CSU or a UC. And we have been having conversations with the Orange County Business Council and figuring out, once these workers are trained, where could they find jobs? And so lots of discussions around this one. This one I think is really exciting, and there's a definite need for it. In our discussions with the community colleges, we found that they're really excited about this concept. And do I see any hands raised? And no, Julie, we can go to the next one.
Okay, thank you. On to our last program. So the concept here is municipal incentives for energy efficient upgrades. And this program would provide targeted energy efficient rebates, as well as those full service rebates where a contractor comes in and through OCPA provides the retrofit start to finish up to 100% of the cost provided through this program. And why are we pursuing this program? The reason is it's very important for the OCPA member cities to lead by example and participate in these energy efficiency behaviors and activities and investments that the rest of the community would be participating in. In addition, these energy efficiency retrofits will help these cities reduce their utility bills, which in turn benefits the community because we can spend money on something else other than a utility bill. So who is participating in this program? It's cities, and by cities I mean city-owned properties, such as the one that you're in. And in addition, we're looking into making this program as cost-effective as possible by partnering with existing programs such as the SoCal Public Agencies program, which provides also no-cost energy efficiency support to cities. So the goal there would be to make sure that the support for cities is as comprehensive and cost-effective as possible for OCPA. I'll pause there and see if there's any questions.
Well, this is another one I'm super, super excited about, only because I spent the last 20 years working in local government. And I can tell you firsthand that when the city of Huntington Beach, when I was here, we acquired and retrofitted 11,000 streetlights. And towards the middle of the acquisition, the investor-owned utility said they were going to do away with their streetlight incentives. And when I presented this to the city council, we had calculated in the $1 million of incentives that the city was going to receive. And for that to go away would have changed our whole entire pro forma. And so we really fought to keep that $1 million incentive. And luckily, all the cities that were in the process with acquiring their lights from Edison were able to keep their incentives. But lots of incentives for municipalities have gone away. And for many cities, the only reason they do energy efficiency, whether it's retro commissioning or HVAC upgrades or lighting or water system pump upgrades, is because there's incentives and rebates, and those are going away. So what better way for our 4-member cities to take advantage of customized incentive programs that we will design working with your cities, your public works directors, your city manager's office, to calculate and to figure out ways that you can save money and how we can help you retrofit whatever it is in your city that you need to retrofit. Another interesting thing that we've been talking about is this sort of water energy nexus. Energy, water distribution and conveyance is a huge energy user. And for many cities, if you just managed it differently and really looked at the energy consumption, there would be ways to shave off money. And so when cities save money on their general fund, they can spend it on parks and streets and community programs and police officers and firefighters. And so, the goal here is really to help cities not only be models for their communities, but to also save money. So that one's I'm super, super excited about. Thank you, Julie. Let me see if there's any hands. Yes, Ian Creation, I see your hand raised. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello again, I'm Creation with Climate Action Campaign. I just wanted to suggest that these energy efficiency programs be integrated into a broader policy document on building electrification, which could help make clear OCPA's commitment to electrification and be helpful as you look at, other decisions in the future. So just wanted to make that suggestion.
Great suggestion. We'll definitely note that. And I'll just also comment that electrifications can be incentivized through these programs. So that would be taking a technology that's currently powered by something other than electricity, and then if it transitions over to electricity, that can be incentivized through these programs.
Yeah, it's Mike, City Council. Again, I have another question. With under your leadership, Tony, when you were our sustainability manager, we did a lot of great programs. I know the solar panels in the parking lot was one. The battery storage in the basement was another. The street lights, converting those to LED for energy savings. A lot of those things that we did seem to be maybe the low-hanging fruit, and they're the obvious things that we do. So what other opportunities do you think a city like Huntington Beach that has already really chased down some of those easy to knock off targets, what's our next tier of targets?
What I would recommend is for cities to conduct a really comprehensive investment grade audit of looking at all of their facilities. And, the Energy Coalition that's here today works with all 4 of our cities and can help do an energy action plan, look at all the energy usage within a city and municipal operations and find ways to shave energy, because you'd be surprised. The work that was done here in Huntington Beach is old now. And so, City Hall and the library and community centers, they probably all need to be retro commissioned, have their HVAC systems looked at. So these are not the fun, sexy programs because, it's like the internal components of the building. But when you look at, so every city really needs to look at all of their operations and look at the loading order. You always want to be the most energy efficient first before you slap on solar panels or add storage. But I think cities can really take a holistic approach and partner with OCPA and the Energy Coalition to find ways to save money. And I'll let Laurel really speak about what the Energy Coalition helps cities with.
Oh, definitely. I'll just say that there's Julie mentioned really quickly SoCal REN. It's an acronym for the Southern California Regional Energy Network. And that's currently another program administrator outside of Edison that runs energy efficiency programs. And OCPA has had already some initial conversations about coordinating efforts along here. And this, under the Southern California Regional Energy Network, there's actually a significant amount of resources available to the cities. All four cities, as Tony mentioned, are already engaged in these programs, and so there can be some more additional kind of conversations about what work can be done, and so leveraging all those resources just to do more and go deeper and get those more difficult energy savings, as you might have mentioned, not the low-hanging fruit. Absolutely.
And go ahead, Julie. And I have Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Del Glaze on the line too.
Okay, I was going to add on that I think you're absolutely right. In a lot of cases, the low-hanging fruit, the streetlights, have already been gobbled up. But there's, like Tony said, retro-commissioning, performance-based energy efficiency programs that include, whole behavioral programs for an office building or for a city hall. Those are really great opportunities that we're seeing are very popular right now.
Thank you, Julian. Mayor Pro Tem Del Glaze.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. Excellent program, by the way. A lot of really good points. And I hope, Tony, that you should be very proud. A lot of the programs that you brought to the city of Huntington Beach, not only are they still standing, but really were so different and so unique at the time. And I'm going to bring up one because there was a lady earlier who asked about energy efficiency, for the homes. Could you see the Orange County Power Authority doing something such as we did back with the chamber? There was this sustainability with your homes.
Yes.
And it was ways to bring better service into your house by improving whatever's in your home, your heating, your water, your electrical. I know it made a difference at my house. Is there anything like that coming?
I love that you brought that up because we've talked about that. The Huntington Beach program that was run by the chamber was with a realtor named John Shipman, I believe. And
yes, he was.
Yeah.
I was involved in
yes.
The other gentleman was Wesley, I think. I can get his last name. Hardy.
Yes, so the program was modeled after a program from the city of Claremont, City of Trees and PhDs, my hometown. And it was called CHIRP, the Claremont Home Energy Retrofit Program. And the Huntington Beach one is very similar. Yeah, so we have been talking about that and doing something very similar.
Okay, well, I think it's really important because I think this is new to a lot of people. They don't, Southern California, Edison, all their lives, they haven't had to think about it. The bill comes, they pay it. That's it. Here, for the first time in their adult life, they're going to be introduced to choices. And like a lot of things right now, there are so many choices, it's overwhelming, and they don't know what to do. So I think if you guys could roll out something along those lines, they could simply start seeing savings in their homes, and then they go, oh, I get it. If we do this in our home, and then they do it on a bigger scale, our cities and our counties and blah, blah, blah can end up saving electricity, and it goes to the benefit of the user.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, I know in this room we've comfortably talked about 4 to 9, but I have a family member and friends that have no idea what I was talking about. I said, don't use so much energy from 4 to 9. They probably don't think about the grid. They don't think about the electric rush hour, the traffic rush hour.
They're not aware of it. They don't know what it means or what it does.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here to educate. And I think the home is such a great place to do that because it's your intimate behavior and your bill. So people have a lot more attention.
I know, just because there's so many, that program that we had, it's probably been close to 10 years, at least 10 years now when I think about it. Tony intimated she and her husband own a new home, so a lot of the stuff was built when she got her house. Most of the homes in Huntington are old, and they don't have a lot of these retrofits. And so I think, and some of them are really simple and they're not too expensive. And I think it would be exciting for residents to learn about new ways to do that for themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much for that feedback.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Douglas, for your comments. With that, I don't see any more hands raised, and we're going to close out our workshop.
All right, thank you, Tony, and I'm passing it back to Laura for the penultimate slide.
Yes, so I'm back, everyone. I'm just going to touch a little bit about timeline because after you're hearing all these programs, you're thinking, are these going to be available tomorrow? When does this happen? Well, it's not tomorrow, but it is somewhat soon. This is a pretty impressive timeline if you have any idea of the regulatory world. But essentially, the conversation started with OCPA to start exploring these programs in May of this year. Where there was an update to the board in just July where we let them know that we wanted to go out to the community and start speaking about these programs and collect feedback. That's where we are currently. It's happening mainly this month. The plan is to go back to the board September 14th to present the final list of program concepts with a summary of all this fantastic feedback we're collecting. And then with the recommendation, there is actually 2 funding paths that OCPK can pursue to secure this funding. And I do want to say that OCPA is right now considering and going to be presenting to the board to go after both pathways for funding, but I do want to say one pathway is much quicker, but it's a smaller pot of funds. So we're probably going to be looking at recommending 1 to 3 programs under that first pathway. And so submitting the application for those, the plan would be this year with those programs, again, 1 to 3 programs being launched in mid-2022. Those other programs that we discussed, assuming that there's still interest to move those forward, would be in the longer-term application. And so you'd see those a few years further from now and that application happening a bit later. But still much before 2027, as Tony mentioned, which was the original plan for OCPA when they got started. So with that, I'm going to just pass it off to Tony if you have any final remarks. And I did have one more thing I wanted to mention. I wanted to say when these programs are launched, that does not mean that any existing programs currently offered by Southern California Edison or others are no longer available to you. This is in addition to those other programs. So there's actually nothing being taken away. This is only additional to OCPA customers. So with that, I'll pass it off to Tony.
Thank you, Laurel, and thank you, Julie. We have one more meeting next week in the city of Irvine on Tuesday at Irvine City Council Chambers. We'll also are working on a Spanish workshop in the city of Fullerton for the beginning of September. So all of this is on our website, ocpower.org. Bear with us. We will have a newly launched website in a couple weeks. This has been our just holdover site. So you can find videos and meeting agendas. Our next board meeting is the 14th. And we have a survey online if you go under community meetings. We would love for you to fill it out and send it back to us so we can get your feedback if you weren't in person filling out a survey today. So thank you very much, Laurel and Julie, and Mayor Pro Tem Douglas, Councilmember Posey, Councilmember Mosier. It's been a pleasure to be back in Huntington Beach tonight.